Where's my book? This is the fruits. Oh man, it's all backwards. Look at that. And now it's gonna obscure my. It's fighting me. It's called Vampire Knights of Camelot. It is exactly how it sounds. That's my name. That right there. That's my book. The Arthurian Knights are vampires, and they are fighting evil vampires pretty much. The protagonist is he is an Arthurian knight, but he doesn't know it yet. We come to him centuries ahead of the time of the original Arthurian knights. We see them fight the forces of evil pretty much. It's fun. I had a lot of fun writing it. From what I've seen, people seem to have had a lot of fun reading it. It's available in ebook form in most places that you can get that. What is it, like a Google Books, Kobo, Kindle, and you can get a physical copy of the book like this one. This one I got specifically was from Amazon. And if this sounds remotely interesting to you, I will go ahead and read off the prologue. Rain poured from the sky. The relentless storm made Connor think perhaps the sky cried with him, its droplets piercing the freshly turned ground, stabbing deep, burrowing down to the cold coffin below. The fresh smell of churned earth had long faded, purged by the unfeeling droplets that fell from the sky. Nothing remained except the mud around Connor's shoes. He placed the bright pink and yellow flowers he held before the gravestone. When he stepped back, the bright petals looked gray under the dark clouds. In loving memory of Iris Newman, read the weeping letters, forever in our hearts. Connor wiped the water out of his eyes. His clothes weighed heavily on him, absent of warmth. This was final. Nothing would be the same again. Stay dry. I don't want you bringing rain into my car. Connor turned to his stepfather, planted several feet away, arms crossed. A steely gaze stared back at him, as cold as the rain. That look. It was as if sharp claws dug into Connor's chest, tearing him away from this precious time with his mother. The balding old man his mother married was going to steal his private moment between Connor and his mother. He'd already taken so many others from Connor when his mother had been alive. Your car? All you're worried about is your car? Connor's gaze locked with his stepfather's, one hard glare to another. A mile-wide divide stretched between them. His stepfather's lip curled. Keep your mouth shut about what I think. His voice had become gruff, like it always did when he wanted to keep the conversations short. You could at least act like you give a damn. A surge of heat blossomed in Connor's cheek. He broke away from his stepfather's glare. Blood pumped through his skull, the pounding loud within his ears. His skin burned so hot the rain could have evaporated off him. Don't even think about it. His stepfather snapped the words at him like an invisible whip. I'm not in the mood to argue. Connor turned his back. Even his emotions, his grief spoiled now. His moment alone with his mother? Ruined. He shivered, unsure if the anger or the cold caused the reaction. He had no desire to figure it out. Footsteps squelched toward him, and the pounding fists of rain paused their assault in the Connor's body. He glanced up, not letting a single expression show. His stepfather pressed the end of an umbrella into Connor's fingers, blocking the worst of the rain from him. She didn't deserve this. His stepfather's words hung in the air, unpicked. They were fruitless words, and Connor refused to give him the benefit of believing otherwise. Everything she did was selfless. She helped the neighbors. She helped the community. Hell, she even helped you. Connor ignored the pointed comment and fixed his attention on the streams of water cascading over the headstone. Can't have a car crash without hitting something. It's just not normal. Something bitter crawled out from the back of Connor's throat. He knew where this was going. It was a stupid car accident. Stop acting like it was somebody's fault. Your mother was murdered. You think she would drive like that? Hit a tree? A deer? We all know the police are playing us. His stepfather's tone rose, aggravated, grating against the drumming rain. None of it makes any sense. No one gives proper answers. As usual, his stepfather found someone else to blame. Before, he had at least been half reasonable with his mother around. Now that was gone. Yeah, You don't care. Typical. His stepfather kicked at a clump of grass. Well, I miss her too. Not that you'd figure. Rain filled the gap of silence between them. Connor couldn't ignore his stepfather standing behind him, like a weight, an anvil, hovering over his shoulder, ready to drop. All he wanted was some time. Time with his mother. We'll have to move soon. His stepfather's somber tone carried over the pouring rain. Connor cast him a long side glance. He must have noticed that he got at Connor's attention, because he continued. We'll be moving to the cheaper side of town, so live it up. The lease is up soon. Yeah. Connor had little to offer in response. He didn't care. First thing he'd do when he graduated this year was leave. Several moments of silence followed. There was nothing left to say. Soggy shoes stirred the wet grass behind Connor. Say your goodbyes. They'll be in the car. The slosh and churn of his stepfather's footsteps faded until only the dull rumble of the rain remained. Connor let out a tense breath when he heard the distant car door shut. Connor looked down at his mother's grave. To do nothing but leave now would feel wrong. It's going to be a rough couple of months without you around. The grave did not respond. He didn't really know what he expected talking to a stone, but he felt like if he didn't, he would explode. I'm gonna have to deal with that asshole all by myself, but not 1 minute longer than necessary. His fingers strained at the umbrella's handle. Tears burned his eyes, the pain stronger than anything else. He let go of the umbrella and let the rain fall on his head. I don't know what I'm gonna do without you. The words poured out without his permission. I want to be mad at you for leaving, but it's not your fault. I don't know whose fault it is. Connor stared at his mother's name. Mute. Void. He wanted to scream, to kick over the headstone and tell it to give his mother back, but that would just cause a scene. Instead, he stood there, motionless, fumbling through the rampant feelings in his head, trying to make sense of the random and erratic thoughts rattling in his brain. The flowers lay there, still as the granite marking his mother's grave, sinking into the mud. He imagined, perhaps, they were listening, absorbing his words but giving nothing back. Nothing would be the same. Not again. Not ever. The boy made an easy target. Keturah watched Connor grieve from beneath the boughs of a willow tree that overlooked the cemetery. The boy was a temptation she had not anticipated. Never had she encountered a blood scent this extraordinary, one simultaneously as bright as birdsong and sharp as thunder, complex, like a fine wine. His soft, unbroken flesh held a symphony of smells. It had been hours since he had moved from that spot. Days? If she listened hard enough, peeled through the layers of rain, she could hear the faint thump of his heart, the blood running up and down his lovely neck, exposed, vulnerable to the elements. She imagined how his blood would taste, those strange and wonderful scents, fulfilling the craving twisting in her stomach. Keturah. A warning. Reluctant to turn from her prey, she slid her gaze from the trembling boy to the well-dressed man beside him. Still, saliva oiled her teeth, eager for the fruits of her imagination. Yes, Lord Lucius? She hesitated, making sure to use her master's public title. Her voice came out low and dull, but blood stirred within her chest. Essence flowed through her veins, prickling every leftover nerve she had managed to keep through many long centuries. Do not mistake that child for sustenance. Lucius's order was flat, direct. The ache in Keturah's stomach intensified, knew it would be denied. But he's right there. We can take him away. She resisted the urge to push the notion. What is it you see in him, anyway? Lucius stood a head shorter than Keturah, frame slight by comparison. His grace remained untouched by the never-ending downpour, thanks to Keturah's unwavering hold on the umbrella. She, however, let the rain pellet her head and clothing. So what if the rain drenched her? Water would dry in time. Time she had. Centuries' worth. His value is immeasurable. Lucius's attention remained glued to the boy. Even with her master's attention so focused, his expression was undecipherable. He will bring us back. Katura sniffed. She could smell the boy's weakness in his tears. The mud caked on his shoes, the blood in his jugular. The boy wouldn't last a week. Why wait? We should take him now. He must come to us himself, of his own conviction. And then, for an instant, Lucius's eyes flashed the purest of crimsons, as piercing as the sun's fury. The air currents shifted around them, and Kentura's lock on the boy's scent faltered. Lucius blinked, and his irises returned to a quiet brown. Work with Iris. Tell no one else. Follow him. Lucius watched the boy again as if hypnotized. We need him angry, afraid. Scare him, but do not reveal yourselves. Nourish his rage. Katura nodded without protest. She was not foolish enough to question the order. Lucius plucked the umbrella from her fingers, and for the first time since they had arrived, turned his concentration from their quarry. Stay close, and don't let him out of your sight. We cannot allow the others to find him first. With that, he left. Katura watched him disappear inside the black limousine that idled at the corner. The car exited the cemetery, a cloud of exhaust coming out of the exhaust pipes. Katura clenched her fists and waited until the car drove out of sight. An instant later, she vanished, leaving nothing in her wake, not even footprints in the soggy grass. Well, there you have it. That is the prologue of Vampire Knights of Camelot. If you thought that sounded good, you can, again, find that on the usual suspects for publishing places. Amazon, Google Books, Kobo, Barnes & Noble. Am I missing anything? Just pick your favorite one. You'll probably find it there.